Hello everyone, and welcome to Train Talk. Welcome back to our Passenger Rail Equipment Update series. As a recap, Part 1 of this journey focused on Amtrak and Via Rail updates. In Part 2, we began our look at commuter railroads with a special episode focused on California. In Part 3, we continue our look at equipment updates at various commuter rail operations as we travel from the Pacific Northwest to the Midwest. There's still plenty of material to get to in this video, so let's begin with a look at the Sounder commuter train in Washington State. Up in the Pacific Northwest, Sounder has received 11 new bi-level commuter cars from Alstom. 3 of these are cab cars numbered 330 through 332. The remainder are coaches numbered from 411 to 418. Sounder first took deliveries of the new cars in August of 2022. Some have been tested, but the cars have yet to enter revenue service as of March 2025. All 11 are being stored in Everett and Lakewood, Washington. Sounder has also explored the possibility of acquiring more locomotives, but no purchase has been formally announced. There aren't too many updates for the Portland area West Side Express commuter service. The only major update worth mentioning is that the transit agency TriMet, which operates the WES, is rolling out a brand new blue and orange paint scheme to all of its equipment. So far, only Trailer Car 2001 has been repainted, but more repaints are expected in the future. There are also reports that WES has once again resumed work on the 2 Trinity Railway Express Bud RDC cars in late 2024 to return them to service. Moving east to Utah, FrontRunner in the Salt Lake City region has recently taken delivery of the 5 bi-level cars purchased used from Coaster in San Diego, California. The cars were acquired to add extra capacity following the retirement of FrontRunner's former New Jersey Transit single-level Comet cars in 2022. The Comet cars date back to the 1970s and were getting expensive to maintain. Before the Coaster cars enter service with FrontRunner, they will need an extensive overhaul. As of early 2025, no timeline has been published for this rebuild. Down in Texas, the Trinity Railway Express is making plans to eventually replace all of its current diesel locomotive fleet with new Siemens SC44 Chargers. In February of 2024, TRE's Advisory Committee approved a contract for 5 new Charger units and went on to recommend that all 11 of the railroad's F59 and F40 locomotives be replaced. The committee also suggested the overhaul of TRE's Bombardier bi-level fleet. TRE's 5 locomotive order is an add-on to the original Charger order placed by the Illinois Department of Transportation. The new locomotives are expected to arrive in 2026. Of all the commuter railroads covered in this series, Metra, out of Chicago, is going through the most equipment changes by far. Let's begin by taking a look at the railroad's locomotive fleet. For several years now, Metra has been slowly replacing its massive fleet of over 115 F40 type diesel locomotives. So far, all replacement locomotives Metra has purchased were previously owned or leased by other railroads. The first batch of used locomotives Metra acquired were former GO Transit F59 PH types. 6 units, renumbered 94 through 99, were placed into service beginning in 2015, all of which were repainted into one of the newer Metra paint schemes. More recently, locomotives 97, 98, and 99 have been rebuilt to comply with EPA Tier 3 emissions standards. In 2018, Metra purchased 21 used F59 PHI locomotives that were previously in service on Amtrak Cascades and Pacific Surfliner trains. As soon as they arrived, Metra began placing the locomotives immediately into service. All of these locomotives have been renumbered in the 73 to 93 series. Most of these units still remain in a variation of the Surfliner paint scheme, although Metra did touch up the paint on some of the locomotives. Eventually, these locomotives will be fully rebuilt. Shortly after receiving the former Amtrak F-59 PHI locomotives, Metra signed an agreement with Progress Rail to purchase rebuilt SD70 MAC freight locomotives. The refurbished locomotives meet EPA Tier 3 emissions standards and will replace up to 42 older diesels starting with the F40PH-2 units. A brand new paint scheme is being applied to the new SD70 fleet. Initially, 15 locomotives were ordered, numbered in the 500 series. All of these locomotives have now been delivered and are in service on Metra's Milwaukee District lines. Metra has exercised options for additional SD70 locomotives, and deliveries have already begun on the new orders. As of February 2025, 19 SD70 MACH locomotives have been delivered, and 33 total units have been purchased. Metra's F40PH-3 and F40PHM locomotives will continue to be used on Metra trains for the foreseeable future. However, the entire F40PH-2 fleet, units 150 through 172, will be fully replaced as the result of new locomotive deliveries. To keep the F40PH-3 and F40PHM locomotives going for years to come, Metra has launched a full rebuild program for these locomotives. So far, all F40PHM overhauls have been completed. Work on the F40PH-3 units continues in early 2025, with completion approaching the midway mark. In August of 2022, the Metra board approved a plan to convert 3 F40PH locomotives to battery power with options for 3 additional conversions. Progress Rail was initially chosen to perform the work. However, in February of 2023, Trains magazine reported that final negotiations fell through and the entire project was on hold. As of 2025, no recent updates have been made available on this project. In other battery-powered train news, Metra has ordered 8 battery-electric multiple-unit Flirt trains from Stadler. The 2-car trains were purchased in February of 2024 with options for an additional 32 cars and up to a total of 16 train sets. Metra plans on using these trains on the 16-mile-long Beverly branch of the Rock Island District. Trains will operate between LaSalle Street Station in downtown Chicago and Blue Island. The first train set is expected to arrive in early 2028 and will have a range of 45 to 65 miles on a single charge. Metra is also purchasing a large fleet of new passenger cars. In April of 2021, Metra signed an agreement with Alstom to produce 200 bi-level commuter coaches and cab cars. The oldest gallery-style cars in the fleet, which date back to the 1960s and 70s, will be replaced with the new equipment. These new Alstom Caradia multi-level passenger cars will be somewhat of a departure from the long-used gallery fleet. Rather than one door in the middle of each car with steps at each entrance, the new cars will have 2 sets of doors at either end of the car on both sides with low-floor boarding. Metra has options for 300 additional cars. Production of the car shells began in January of 2025. The first completed cars are expected to arrive in August of 2026, with deliveries continuing into 2029. The final project worth mentioning at Metra is the donation of one of the railroad's last 2 F40C type locomotives to the Illinois Railway Museum. Locomotive 614 arrived on museum property Saturday, February 23, 2025. 614 was built in 1974 for what was then the Milwaukee Roads commuter operations out of Chicago. A total of 15 of the locomotives were built. Most of the locomotives were retired in 2004, with 614 and 611 reactivated briefly from 2009 to 2012. The other 13 locomotives were eventually scrapped. 611 remains stored in Chicago. No plans have been announced yet for this locomotive. That does it for part 3 in our series on passenger rail equipment updates. Thanks for coming along. Next time, we will close out the series as we examine all the commuter railroads in the eastern US and Canada. As always, a special thanks to all my supporters on Patreon. Do you want to see a new train video every week? Subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to receive notifications whenever I post to YouTube. And if that's not enough, there's even more train and railroad themed content on my other social media pages. I'll be back next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time for a brand new railroading adventure right here on the YouTube channel. That's it for now. Until next time, I'm Mike Armstrong. I'll see you down the line. Thanks for watching.